Good morning, Lincoln, Nebraska. Happy Monday. Welcome to the morning hookup. Bill Hooks, YZ. Elijah on the way in. Dane Todd in the studio. We're going to get Dane's up. No, there he is.
What's up,
Dane's
boys?
on. Dane's on. Good morning. Hey, we'll get you sound here in a minute so you can hear us. But again,
I
we're
can
all
hear you
here.
barreling through the production booth, but that's
That,
about it.
am I
It's
am I
muffled.
that am I that loud this morning?
You're loud, bro. You're
I'm
loud.
pretty fired up, man. Coming off an incredible sports weekend that we'll get to. We got NHL. My goodness. We'll talk Hurricanes. NBA champion has been anointed after a 53-year drought. We have the Knicks at the top. We'll get into the World Cup. World Cup, America got off to a phenomenal start in the World Cup. CWS, boy, there's some good storylines at the College World Series with a few teams. Carolina rolling right now. Georgia looks to continue to roll. There's an SEC school that is out by a Cinderella story happening there. We have Evan Bland on my World Held coming up as well. Action packed. Also, last night, if we have time, we'll talk about UFC 250, which a lot of people was a phenomenal event of fights, upsets, first time unified champions in the UFC last night. And well, yet it's also U.S. Open weekend for you golf fanatics out there leading up to Father's Day weekend as well. And also we got the doctor, Dr. Dane Todd, house fresh off. Hey, how much Canadian fish did you bring back?
Well, can only bring back 3 pike and 2 lake trout, so brought back 6 and 4. Because
Boom.
my son gets a limit, obviously. So it was good though. Had a great time. It was it's one of those trips I can only do once in a while because man, getting there is 90% of the battle. It's just 2 days of travel on either side. I would not recommend that part.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you have to pack the bow and arrow to
Oh
go
no, no,
fish?
no, no! Not allowed to bow fish there, thank goodness. But I will say this: as we were coming back and we were on hour number 21 of driving,
Ooh.
um, I was instructed to stop at a place where he could go bow fish, and we shot 12 carp. So yeah, it's like, dude, all I want to do is go home and go to bed right now. But here we are.
You're like, I love you. We've had a great trip. Let's end this without me being angry and just
Yeah,
get to the house.
yeah. No, we made it there eventually. It was fun. It was great. It was nice being away, playing catch up at work now this week. But that's how it goes.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, good morning, FloodX, and good morning, Shane. Thanks for hanging out with us. He said UFC Freedom 250 was amazing. Yeah, we'll get to that a little bit. But let's just kick it off. There were champions galore anointed this weekend. NHL did not disappoint. The only thing that disappointed for me was, as a novice new fan of this sport, was not Game 7. Not hearing Game 7 was the only thing. But Hurricanes get it done in close to a fashion when you look at it. 16-3 in the playoffs. You lose your top goalie in this. The series with 2 goal leads galore, 4 goal leads out there, multiple comebacks, guys stepping up. Your goalie for the Hurricanes, what a magnificent 3-game run he had after being a 27-year-old journeyman in minor league hockey to step in and to pitch a shutout in the game-deciding Game 6, where the Hurricanes get it done for the first time since 2006. Your Smythe winner is 37 years old, the oldest to do that. Install and look at the gap between his Stanley Cups, what he did in the Stanley Cup. Just some phenomenal stuff. But again, Hurricanes get it done. I always think about this when I watch hockey in these long seasons in any sport. And Dane, maybe on your side, you've done it, you've been through it. I don't know how these at 37 or whatever age, how they keep their bodies able to continue to get up on skates, to do this, to take the hits, and to endure what they endure and become Stanley Cup champions.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable the longevity for some of those guys, especially with as physical sport as it is, and the number of games they play in a season. Right, they play
Mm-hmm.
82 games a year, and that's numbers going to increase to 84 here, and then playoff run adds another 20 games to it. I mean, it's remarkable, especially when guys can be in their upper 30s and even lower 40s to do it. Heck, the The Ironman record was broken this year in the NHL with Brett Burns. He's played over 1,000 games in a row and has not missed a game. He plays defense, and he's this big Neanderthal looking dude. Like it's pretty amazing what some of those athletes are able to do and accomplish. And you got to think that they're just constantly taking care of themselves in order to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to burn the candle on both ends and make runs like that.
Yeah, pretty amazing when you're doing it.
I am a little bummed though that we got robbed of a Game 7. That was going into last night. And I was out umpiring last night. We're probably gonna have to get into this in a second. But the thing that disappointed me most whenever I got off the baseball diamond was I check in and the game's already 3-0 in the third, and I go, oh, well, I guess it'd be cool to watch him lift Lord Stanley, but I was really looking forward to a Game 7 later this week. I'm surprised with how back and forth this series was. It felt like everything flipped in Game 5. And I didn't get a chance to watch the full game last night, caught some of the highlights instead. But I don't know, it didn't quite look like the same Golden Knights team in terms of the intensity, in terms of, and I'm sure you probably watched a little bit more than me, but I didn't think the intensity was there from a forechecking point of view. I just felt like they found themselves down a game and kind of went, okay, we know how this is going to go. That's kind of how it felt from the outside looking in.
I think they just finally got worn out because Carolina's the way that they play and the way that their team's built, it's just pure effort and everybody's going at all times. Their forecheck is incredible. Everybody's getting the body put on them. And then, when your best player and Jack Eichel can't find the back of the net the entire playoff run, right? That starts to wear on you. You hit a crossbar in the game. Like, it's just, though, I think all those little things finally accumulated and then just got wore out from Carolina outworking them. Just pure effort style hockey the entire series and the entire playoff run. Yeah, I mean, it was, and everybody had kind of written off Carolina because they've been doing this for 8 years in a row where they win a ton of games in the regular season, they get to the playoffs, and then they get swept. They get
in the first round.
In the first round every single time. But the pieces all finally came together for them, and they played great hockey as a team, and they never took their foot off the gas. And it was a remarkable finals to end up watching. It was a really good series this year.
I was going to ask you guys that as you look at the series as a whole, there's always moments where you're like, this is maybe where it changed. And as you look at the series, you think back and you guys talked about Carolina just kept coming. They were relentless. Last night we watched a little bit of it. It looked like Carolina was just skating faster and more aggressive. They just kept coming. When you look back, do you go back to what game? I can't remember the game when the four goals end up winning in double overtime. How much of that game, you won the game, but you end up losing in the long run because of everything you put into that just to barely squeak by. And then ultimately Carolina their conditioning in this series looked like it outweighed and won the series versus the Golden Knights conditioning throughout the season.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think they were just in better physical shape, but that also comes into play with how the entire season went because Carolina had in hockey, for those who don't know, at the NHL level, you carry 4 lines of forwards and essentially 3 lines of defensemen. Every single one of those lines played significant minutes all season long. The 4th line was playing 8 minutes a game in throughout the playoffs and throughout the finals. Well, and 8 minutes out of a 60-minute game doesn't sound like a ton of time, but it actually is because most of those teams, your 4th lines may be seeing a shift, right? They're playing a minute. And so by being able to do that and just roll 4 lines through every single time your top line steps out on the ice, they're completely fresh and ready to go. And that'll wear out a team when every time you turn around, the pace is at 1,000,000 miles an hour. It's full go. Whereas, let's be honest, like there will be times when guys aren't skating quite as fast or moving quite as hard. Well, but when every single line that comes out there, you're going to get hit there's going to be a stick on the puck. There's going to be traffic. Like,
well, and not to mention in the finals that when that gets ratcheted up too.
Yeah, it comes up. It gets ratcheted up big time, right? Throughout all the playoffs, it gets ratcheted up, but then the finals it's on a whole nother level, man. And so I think that played a big part of it is them just having the depth on their roster to be able to do that. They don't have one player who's, head and shoulders above everybody else, but they got a bunch of guys who are really good. And then their next group of guys are a bunch of guys who work really hard and are also good. So they've built a great team. And they finally put it all together to win the cup.
Dana, let me ask, when you're playing days, was there a team year in and year out that just kept coming? You knew it was going to be relentless, or is there a game that comes to mind that score, like the guys are going to keep coming, and how do we outlast this?
Yeah, it was probably Oklahoma, right? Whenever we played against Oklahoma, it was just like constant, and we came, we hung in there with them, but by God. And the other team that we played against it was that way was USC. When we went out there to USC, like, you just kept running your head into a wall the whole time. And part of that was a game plan where the game plan was just run your head into a wall. That's an interesting game plan from coach, but
shorten the game. We've seen how this is going to go.
Exactly. Shorten right. Yeah, it turns out it just made it feel longer. But yeah, that nothing where it was that, for that long though. So a lot of games where obviously, came back and throwing punches left and right, but nothing like that.
Awesome. Well, good stuff.
Before we wrap this up, I do want to say it is nice. And I am very curious to see, because we mentioned this last week. We are to the day, probably today and tomorrow, we're going to start getting the laundry list of injuries that guys played through in the playoffs and the finals. I like getting that. It gives you some more insight in the series. But I do also want to say, I think the best team, if not the entire season for sure in the playoffs, won the Stanley Cup this year. That's great. That doesn't always happen. It is a very deserving champion this year with the Carolina Hurricanes. Would have loved to see Carolina, Colorado selfishly in the finals, but we got a great series. And the best team all playoffs long and the best team in the Stanley Cup Finals won as well, that's not always guaranteed in a 7-game series. And hey, Vegas would have been a pretty deserving champ as well, but Carolina is a very, very deserving champion. They have earned Lord Stanley, and I'm excited to see Lord Stanley follow around all these players throughout all their hometowns over the next couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, the stories that come out from those things are great. Yep. I will say that Colorado, probably the best and the most talented team this year, but you just get injuries at the wrong time. How often do we see it where, a single quarterback goes down and the rest of the season's shot, right? Look at Penn State, yep. they got new coaches this year because of it, right? So yeah, you get injuries at the wrong time. And like you said, it is fun with air quotes around it to hear what guys were playing with during this, because unlike soccer, the hockey players are pretending to not be hurt, right? Yeah. And so it'll be interesting to see what comes out from it all.
Awesome. Good stuff, guys. Congrats. Carolina Hurricanes get it done. Game 6. Lord Stanley headed back to the East Coast and continue to stay in the United States for a long run right now in the hockey world. So let's take our first break and come back. Speaking of a long drought, another drought, the biggest sports history drought ever in pro sports just came to an end last night. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more when we return. Well, we have an ejection fill out for him, huh?
Yeah, well, it threw off my morning schedule when you get the call. I knew we had the ejection. My partner filed the report, and then I get the call this morning. I got to take this. It was cut and dry, malicious contact at home on the last out of the game last night. Ooh. And I don't believe either team's in the listening audience, so I could lay it out somewhat. But yeah, down by 1, top half of the 7th, coming home, throw beats the runner, as opposed to getting out of the way of the catcher, lowers the shoulder into the catcher and kind of finishes the check. And
you are out and you are out.
Yeah, we'll likely be facing a 1-game suspension. Yeah. Coach came out and gave the most half-hearted argument because it was the most cut and dry malicious contact ever.
Nice.
He just comes out and goes, "Wait, you ejected him too?"
Yeah, sure did.
Yeah, he trucked the catcher. Really? Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Nice.
Like,
it's always good when the coach is just like, yeah, I kind of have to say something.
Yeah, to stand up for my player here, but everyone in that building knew.
Yeah.
I'm showing face. I have to do this. Dang it.
And I also think the coach and player may have been related.
Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah.
That makes it even
way home in a car.
That makes it even better.
Super exciting baseball game last night, though, which was fun.
Nice.
And I was working in Friend. I found a gas station out there that had E85 for $1.23 a gallon. I didn't even need gas, but I'm stopping for gas. I got 16 gallons for $21.
What?
For the E85?
Yeah.
What do you drive?
It's a 2017 Silverado.
Oh.
I bought it from the state of Nebraska, and they make sure all their vehicles are E85 certified.
Oh, nice.
So they're all flexible. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I see E85 for cheap. Yeah. Yeah, I'm filling up.
Good for you. I love that. I filled up a bunch of gas in Canada. It turns out that's really expensive.
Yeah.
That's really, and they do it by the liter.
Yeah, so you have to do the conversion to gallons. And so it doesn't look bad on a per liter basis. And then you do the conversion to gallons, like, oh, that's $7 a gallon.
Yeah, it was not inexpensive.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was tough. But
am I off? $7 a gallon, I think, is about
it's not quite that high once you do the conversion to the currency, right? The currency helps bring her back down, but it's still way more expensive than it is here.
Mm-hmm.
Which is wild because they got oil everywhere. But
Good stuff.
you got more games this week?
We'll see about this week.
Welcome back to the morning hookup again. Happy Monday. Hope everybody's Monday is off to a great start. It is a beautiful morning, by the way. Looks to be a great weather week, as well as maybe we'll creep up to some storms on the weekend. We did, Elijah, you called it. We did get the first somewhat of an example of a Midwest storm in Omaha for the College World Series. There were some delays in some games out there. I believe Saturday morning time, there were storms that came rolling through, delayed the World Series, things like that. I don't think they've got the full experience yet of blowing wind, debris, and all the good stuff that comes with a good Midwest College World Series week storm.
There was, and this is now, I don't want to make Dane leave the room, but a brief World Cup thought here. There were a whole bunch of England soccer fans, and they're stationed in Kansas City right now. And so the national team and a whole bunch of fans got to see a Midwestern thunderstorm, and they were all terrified for their lives.
Nice.
Yeah,
good.
Like 70-mile-an-hour winds,
Good.
like torrential downpour, tornado watch. You should have seen some of the social media reaction from England fans thinking the world was ending.
Yeah. Well, good. They can see what it's like to live on the right side here, right? Where our weather will fight us at all times, right?
Yes, it will. We'll get
but
to
isn't it always dreary there?
In England? Oh, yeah, but it's not like they don't have this severe weather that we have.
Yeah.
They have clouds and like pitter-patter rain, you know?
Yeah.
We get the scary rain, which is the fun rain.
Yeah, I don't think they know what thunder is either. Probably is.
We get the spicy rain that's coming down sideways.
The rain that wants
Yeah. That's amazing. Speaking of rain, the rain has now the clouds have parted. The rain has stopped. The New York Knicks are NBA champions for the first time in 53 years. What a series that was. When you look at it, Game 6 is going to go, 5 is going to go down as a couple of pending thoughts in this one. When you look at Jalen Brunson, hats off, number 1 in New York history right now. When you look at a player that goes out and drops 45 in a clinching game, 15 in the fourth. When you look back at this, the Knicks you're going to go back and go, man, they defied the odds. And maybe we were clouded with the East and division. We thought the West being the West, Wembanyama, what he was. But the Knicks get it done, man. And you look squarely on Jalen Brunson, their supporting cast, what it did. Mike Brown gets it done out there for the Knicks. Thoughts on Brunson? You look at Brunson now. Now the question's being asked: is Brunson the best Knick of all time?
No.
No. I just threw the question out because it's all over the place now. He gets a title there. You go through all the greats that never got it done. You look at the era and some of the greats when you got Ewing going through the Jordan era, in the Detroit Pistons era, in that mix. Brunson, that team. I think overall this was just a well-constructed roster, a great coaching job by Brown, and the supporting cast better than the Spurs supporting cast. And Wembanyama did not make that step quite yet in a finals at 22 years old to being the guy that he needed to be in that series.
This is kind of the point where the ring culture becomes exhausting. People are like, oh, because he's got a ring, Brunson's now the best Knick of all time. No. Could he end up being the greatest Knick of all time? That is possible, but he's got a long ways to go as of right now. I will say, to talk the Spurs side of things, that's got to be a demoralizing series. Was it? They had at least a 10-point lead in every game, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah. And you lose in 5. On one hand, you got to tip your cap to the Knicks, but on the other hand, you got to look at the Spurs. And that's a young roster. I think part of the reason why that happens is because they are a young roster that sometimes when you get there, you don't know what you don't know. And what they learned was that the Knicks were never out. The Knicks were going to keep on fighting. A series of, I think, missed opportunities for the Spurs, but it all flipped on that huge comeback. As soon as that huge comeback happened in game, I believe that was 4, it was over for the Spurs. That's the point. And I said this a couple weeks ago, and I'll say it again. There comes a point in every 7-game series when everyone on the floor, everyone on the ice, whatever it may be, knows who the better team is. And when the Knicks won game 4 and came back from down 29, everyone on the floor knew who the better team was. So it was, by the time game 5 rolled around, the series was already over. But it was in that moment the Spurs realized, you know what, we're not winning this series. We're not the better team. And once that happens, the series is truly over. And I think you have to give a quick tip of the cap for the Spurs to be able to come out of the West. That is a juggernaut of a playoff run that they had to make to get to the Knicks, but they just ran into a better team, a more experienced team, a team that was ready for the moment. I don't think the Spurs were necessarily ready for the moment, but they have a long championship window ahead of them. We'll see them back in the NBA Finals probably sooner rather than later. But from an experience point of view and from a togetherness point of view, I just don't think they were ready for it. The Knicks brought them.
You know, I will say, like, obviously New York Knicks basketball, it's got this big brand, this big name, like tons of people watch. They haven't even been in the finals since 1999, right? Like I'm obviously don't follow basketball as much as a lot of other sports, but you could have asked me that question. I'd be like, oh, it probably within the last 10, 15 years, right? No, 27 years ago was the last time they were even in the finals. I would have never guessed that, and if they wouldn't have made it around and started looking it up. But it's pretty remarkable that you can have a franchise that's supposedly that good and with all that following and everything else, and just really not being great for 5 decades.
Well, really since Ewing.
Yeah.
Since Ewing was really the last time they were great. And they had the mellow years with who else was Tyson Chandler on that team. Like they had some good years in the like early to mid 2010s, never quite got over the hump, but just a down on their luck franchise that the pressure of playing in New York did not help and does not help as you try to build a championship format. That's another thing you have to add to this Knicks finals run is the fact that there was a heaping amount of pressure placed onto them as this run continued, being the team that is finally going to make it to the finals after 27 years away. The fishbowl that you live in New York, being an athlete out there, that kind of adds to what the Knicks were able to go and do, because that is very, very difficult to overcome whenever the entire city of New York is going to micro-analyze every single little thing that happens in a playoff run.
I think coming into this series too, we talked about how big of a factor Wembanyama was going to be. And a lot of those blown leads that the Spurs had, I don't know if you can fully throw it on Wembanyama because, like you said, Elijah, the Spurs as a whole are a young team. but it felt like in the fourth quarter of all of these games, he kind of disappeared. You didn't really get those big clutch moments out of your star player that you needed. He shot 12 for 34 from the field and 2 for 8 from 3 throughout the whole NBA Finals. And I want to get your guys' thoughts on like how and why that happened. Where did Wembanyama go in the fourth quarter of these games? Is he just not ready for the moment?
I think that it comes with experience.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Knowing A, that you're going to have to be the guy, but B, knowing how to be the guy even whenever you don't have your A game. That's what I think makes some of these stars special, is the way they're able to go impact. I mean, LeBron James, more times than not, brought his A game to NBA Finals games, but he would find a way, even whenever he had poor shooting nights, to impact the game and end up getting wins. And LeBron James, one of the greatest of all times for a reason. You can say the same about Jordan. These guys found a way. Hey, the ball's not always going to be finding the bottom of the net game in, game out, no matter how great you are. I think Wembanyama needs to learn. I mean, he's still young in his career, but he just needs to learn how he can go impact a game and make winning plays even whenever the ball's not dropping through the net. And he'll get there. He's going to be great. He's going to be the face of the league for a long time. He just was not ready. I mean, it's only his, third full NBA season. Just was not ready to go be that guy in that moment just yet. But this is going to be one of those experiences, I think, sets the table for the rest of his career.
And I think with that, too, there was probably too much that fell on his shoulders because you didn't get anything out of other guys. Like De'Aaron Fox didn't show up and made some boneheaded plays in some big moments. You didn't get much just out of guys down the stretch. And to blow that many 10-plus point leads, you got to feel like you just let that one slip away if you're San Antonio. You had especially a 30-point lead on the road in New York,
with a chance to really take firm control of that series.
Yeah, you let this one slip away for San Antonio, but they will be back. And I think Wembanyama and the Spurs will get a finals win here in probably the next 5 years or so.
Yeah, I agree with that. All the experience, I think that is going to help that younger team do that. But I want to credit the Knicks on the way they defended Wembanyama, the physicality. You look in the Spurs losses, those games, and we've talked about this before. Wembanyama not having it, the physicality, we're putting up would be Alvarado or I'm drawing a blank, Hart, maybe being a little more physical with Wembanyama. But you look at those games also, you mentioned Fox. Fox wasn't that guy helpful in the series where you go back, you look at the number of shots that Fox had to take in some of these games and these.
We might have lost connection.
No. Oh, he was freezing in and out on my.
Oh, no, he's back. He's back.
Oh, there he is.
Well, I'm going back and just real quick. Fox, they made Fox shoot the ball more than the Spurs wanted Fox to shoot the ball. The way they defend it. When you look at those losses, there were double-digit shots from Fox in those games. Their physicality, their defensive game plan, ultimately is something the Spurs had not seen all year long in games that hurt them in the long run.
And for those that aren't watching on the stream, the freeze frame we have of Hooksy up in the top left is perfect.
It's incredible. I was just going to say that too. You are looking intense right now, Hooksy. You look good. You look good.
You know, I appreciate that from you guys. I don't get till I look good that much.
Yeah, no, it's a good look for you.
We'll get this screen cap sent off to you here in a bit. You look like the impassioned coach, making a plea to his team in the 7th inning. We got to go get a win, boys.
Yeah, there's definitely some Gipper. You're winning one for the Gipper right there.
It's probably the look that I had sitting on my bucket calling pitches all weekend when we couldn't find the strike zone.
Oh, yeah, such is life.
Fastball down the middle, please.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you want me to do? Here's number one.
There you go. You came back. You just have him throw it underhand. I learned that in what movie is that? It's Rookie of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Rookie of the Year. Yeah, you just underhand it. That's what you got to do. Just lob it up there.
Let your defense make a play.
Yeah.
I'm really not sure at some games this weekend that we could have been 20 feet away and made a throw to would have hit the strike zone.
So hey, sometimes you just don't have your stuff. You got to find other ways to win, right?
Exactly.
Just like Elijah just said. Got to find other ways to win.
Comes with experience.
Although were they hitting the ball at least?
Oh
no, we keep losing him in and out.
It's funny because we can see him but not hear him.
Yeah.
Oh, now he's back.
I heard something.
Sorry, guys.
There you go.
Oh no.
Nope.
Oh, it's all falling to pieces here.
Classic. I bet it's YZ's fault.
Yeah, somehow. Blame the producer.
And now we have the perfect freezer of Hooksy just looking disappointed.
Yeah, he does. Yes. He went from impassioned to disappointed.
Now he's got the face of a coach who's looking at his team after they get walked off in the bottom half of the 7th inning after leading all game long, and there's that little bit of disappointment where there's no ice cream post game.
So I just looked something up, and obviously to bring this back to hockey because both playoff series ended this weekend, right? Mm-hmm. When I mentioned that about the Knicks, about being like, oh, this storied franchise, and God, they had to have been there. I went and looked up the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh, yeah, you can dive into this. You're still,
my goodness.
Most Stanley Cups in history.
But the last time they were even in the Stanley Cup Finals was back in, 1967. They haven't even been in the finals since the NHL expanded.
Mm-hmm.
But that's and I've thought of that because you brought up was it you or YZ who brought up just New York as a hard place to play, right?
Yeah.
With the fan base and everybody else and all the pressure that comes with it. Toronto is the exact same way, where the fans are just, that's all they have, and that's all they think about and all they're doing. Now, I get it. They've got the Raptors up there, but nobody really cares about basketball in Canada, right? And so it's the same kind of deal where maybe it is just a really, really, really tough environment, and you can't end up with all the pressure it gets to players, So it is impressive they finally got over the hump.
Tell you what, the Maple Leafs really dominated World War II era hockey, didn't they?
Oh, they crushed it. They were great.
1942, 1945, 47, 48, 49, 51, and then 61 through 64, another one in 67.
Yeah, it's just like, Jesus, you guys did a great job, except that was back when there were 6 teams.
This did a great job before hockey was on TV.
Yeah, exactly, right? But
Hooksy's back. He's moved inside.
I moved inside. I got better internet now, I think. Here we go. We're back. I could hear it's like that twilight sleep. I could hear everything going on, but I couldn't say anything. Weird one.
The sleep paralysis is essentially what you had there.
Yeah, we're glad to have you.
Well, I'm glad to be back, and I'm just glad to be included in the group.
We got a couple of good freeze frames out of it too, though.
Mm-hmm.
That was key.
I'm sure those will make the Twitterverse at some point.
I think we need to blow up one of them and hang it in the studio.
It'd be great.
I
want the Gipper one though for that. Yeah, and the can we put the disappointment one in the production booth? And the Gipper one out here.
So that will keep the production booth, motivated, going strong. Whenever you have Hooksy looking down and you're looking a little disappointed, a little motivated.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'll need a couple copies of that as we're maybe again going back to my calling pitches. I'll just put up that picture every time they miss the strike zone.
It'd be excellent.
It's like those big cards that they had in football to give the play call.
Oh, right.
That's what Hooksy holds up when it's fastball down the middle.
It's funny as you were talking about that. I had moments where my son's catching, and again, I'm making it worse than what it was, but we were having struggles, and he looked at me, and I'm like, what do you want me to call? Like, I quit giving signs and just went like this. One down the middle. Let's try that for size.
Yeah.
So
sometimes you got to bring it back to the basics, right?
That's right. So, all right, let's do this. Let's take another break. When we come back, let's jump into a little World Cup. Boy, America got off to a hot start, right? And there's been other matches that have surprised, not surprised as well. But let's talk about the World Cup when we return.
Look at me. I'm Bill Hooks. I can do the show from my lake house.
Is that where you're at, Hooksy?
We can't see him.
That's got to be where he's at.
That's the lake house, though.
You couldn't make the 40-minute drive back, huh? No.
Was he going? I think he's going back up for more baseball today. Are you going back up for more baseball today, Hooksy? Is that what's going on?
We're thinking about it. Yeah. Well, it was late night. Last night it was late. we made the decision. I like that. Made the decision to go up because we had games yesterday. We're like, all right, Carolina's in the winner's bracket. Let's go back up. And the drive back was like we didn't get out of Omaha till probably like 10. So we just made a pit stop.
It does feel like, and I'm sure we'll get back into this a little bit more, it feels like we're destined, to me, for Georgia, North Carolina championship series.
Yeah.
Those two teams seem to be head and shoulders above the rest of the field.
Yeah. As we get into it, it's one on the Georgia side. That guy was electric. I think you're going to two teams that if that's the destiny, as you look at the paths, you look at pitching, number one, and you got Georgia's power. You got Carolina's execution that I've watched so far, but
that would make for an interesting championship series. Styles make fights.
Yep. I mean, look, like Carolina's used what, 4 pitchers so far?
That's the next thing I think it's been 4 pitchers through 2 games. They are set up for success because I mean they're so deep in their pitching staff and they've barely had to go into it.
Well, and you realize that reliever, I've drawn a blank on his name. We'll get to it, but he's 17 years old. The dude last night, he should be in high school still and moved up, or he went on early. 17 years old, smoke at 97.
That's got to be cool.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. Well,
I sat there and watched it last night. I'm like you watch 97 on TV and you hear 97 like there, it's like, whoa.
There's got to be, I mean, it's got to be really cool, really fun to be able to throw 97 until you get that first elbow surgery. But even nowadays, people come back from elbow surgery, it's like it's nothing.
He was 17 and he was
the statistics don't back that.
Really?
Up, by the way.
He was ACC Freshman of the Year.
It feels like in the MLB, like you pop a UCL, it feels like everyone is just coming back like it's nothing now.
Yeah,
I think the stat with him is, well, now he's 11-0, but I think the stat is now when he pitches in a game, they're 28-0.
Coming back here.
Welcome back in the morning hookup again. Happy Monday. Hope everybody's off to a great start to the week. As now I've got stable internet, I can hang out with you guys a lot more. But man, as the sports world continued, we had an NHL champion, we had an NBA champion, both crowned over the weekend. And then just throw this in there, the World Cup kickoff. We had the opening matches, which we talked about last week with the Mexico win, and then you continue on, and then the anticipated first round matchup, which we thought, hey, tricky matchup for United States against Paraguay. And what do? You go out and score more goals in one game than you did the entire last World Cup. You go out and you go 4-1 against Paraguay.
Yeah, not only that, first off, let's give credit to Caleb over here. I'm not sure, did you intentionally pick that song because it was on FIFA back in the day? Walking on a Dream? You did not.
Yes.
Okay, you did.
Yes.
He's gonna say he did.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, that was either FIFA 14 or FIFA 15. That was one of the best.
I'm just that good.
Hey, Caleb, it's like, hey, honey, how do these jeans look on me? They look amazing. Yes. Yes.
But back to the U.S. That Paraguay team, the United States was more talented than. The thing is I have never in my life had a World Cup match to watch for the United States that was not stressful. And Paraguay presented some challenges. Their team is a team that typically defends really well. They kind of take a low block and they try to counterattack. They could do nothing against the U.S. The U.S. absolutely dominated that soccer game. And for what it's worth, I believe across their final 3 qualifying games for the World Cup, Paraguay didn't allow a single goal, and I believe across their entire qualifying run, they only allowed 3 goals. And that is a team that beat Argentina. That is a team that beat Uruguay. That is a team that beat Brazil. That is a solid quality soccer team. It's always really sneaky good, always a tough out in the World Cup. The United States made it look easy. That is going to go down when we look back in a couple of weeks as probably the most impressive performance of the group stage. Now, can the U.S. keep it going? Is part of that just they had some extra life because it's a home World Cup and the fans were lively in Los Angeles and, hey, you're going to get full effort for 90 minutes? Possibly, but that team looked so different than any other World Cup squad I've ever seen for the United States. That is bar none, the best performance that they have put together. The most impressive, maybe not the best, the most impressive performance a U.S. men's national team has put together in the World Cup in my lifetime. And I don't think it's close. That is a decent team that in previous World Cups would have given the United States a lot of difficulties. There was no difficulties for the United States in that match. It was pure domination from the opening whistle.
And then up next, I believe Australia, right? Is that Friday coming up? Australia did win their opening round match as well.
And with that, a win here will likely guarantee the United States through to the next round. The United States is better than Australia. These are the two teams in the World Cup that still call it soccer. So that could be a fun matchup. Australia and the United States call it soccer. Everyone else calls it football. We're right. But it should be a fun one on Friday night up in Seattle. You know it's going to be lively. But the United States, I think Friday night was kind of the wake-up call for the rest of the world. And it's something we talked about last week. This is a super, super talented squad. A squad that, in terms of their top talent, goes up against some of the powerhouses in world soccer right now. The question was, could they come together and play as a team? They had struggled to do that since Mauricio Pochettino has been appointed as the coach, as the manager. It started to look a little bit better during some of these tune-up games leading up to the World Cup, but they put it all together. We talked about it last week. Like, could you have a team that played with the hunger, played with the fire, the scrappiness? That's what you got on Friday night. It was not only a team that is super talented, but it was a team that had the right mentality and did all the little things. They did all the dirty work that you needed to do. They ran hard for 90 minutes. They pressed everyone that was on the ball, and they just absolutely went out there and shell-shocked Paraguay. If they can keep that up, they are going to be coasting into the next round, and they will likely on Friday night secure their spot in the knockout rounds before they even play their final game. That's how important this game is, because it's the two teams that are on 3 points. If you get to 6, and then if you get a draw between Paraguay and Turkey in the next game, really whatever happens there, you've essentially guaranteed your spot because of the goal differential that you accumulated against Paraguay. But another win will, I believe, if I'm not wrong, mathematically secure your spot.
Now, with that, Elijah and everyone, we'll be tracking a possible injury with Pulisic, right, in that calf tightness, because I want to ask Dane about calves and what calf injuries can do to other parts of the body coming up, but that should be something to be noted. He was subbed out at halftime. They're called precautionary reasons right now, but the importance of having him back in these matchups going forward.
Well, you could see the team did not look as incisive in the attacking third with him off the field as they did with him on the field. They still looked very good, but the energy and the spark that he brought out there, it's pretty much irreplaceable, and he's the captain for a reason. He's a big emotional piece, but what is a little bit different about this team this year is there is so much talent everywhere else that I think you can make it a match or two without Pulisic if you have to. Flo Balogun, by the way, fascinating story on how he's even eligible to play for the United States. If you ever listen to an interview with the dude, he sounds more British than beans for breakfast. Like, he's been living in London his entire life, spent 1 month in the United States because his family came to the United States. I believe they went on a cruise whenever his mom was 8 months pregnant. And then they went to get back on the plane, and American Airlines said, "Oh, no, you're too pregnant. You can't get on this plane." So she had to give birth to him in the United States. They did kind of like the postnatal care around here for like a month, and then they officially up and moved to London. And that was the only time in his life he spent in the United States. But because of the birthright citizenship, he's eligible. He picked the United States to come compete for him because it was going to be a tough road in to go get into the English national team. And it's paid dividends. He was one of the top strikers in Italy last year. Kind of really started coming into his own late in the season, and he has just carried that momentum into the U.S. squad. If it wasn't for Christian Pulisic, we'd be talking about potentially him going down as one of the better U.S. soccer players of all time, if not the best of all time, despite the fact he's barely even American. But he is. Gio Reyna was supposed to be spectacular throughout his career. You see it in flashes, and that was the last goal. But Malik Tillman's been great. Chris Richards has been great. There's just so many names on this squad of guys that are competing in the highest leagues in Europe. Tyler Adams, another one. Tim Ream spent like 10 years playing for Fulham. There's so many guys in this team that have played top competition for their entire career, and you cannot say that about previous U.S. men's national team squads. Like, these guys play against the best of the best week in, week out, and it's what makes this team so dangerous and why I think they could make a deep run this year. I still don't think they're good enough to go win it all, but if you could make a run to the top 8, the top 4, which I think is possible based on what I saw, and maybe I'm overreacting after game 1, that would pay dividends for U.S. soccer for years to come. And I think it's very, very possible. I mean, you don't have many super impressive performances thus far in the World Cup. The United States kind of stands alone in terms of played a quality opponent and absolutely dominated them. Nobody else can really say that.
Now, Dane, that calf injury, I want to talk about calf injuries a little bit and the effects, because obviously there's probably, like every injury that you deal with, there's different grades that we know, calf strain, calf tear, all that, but more about the effects of a calf injury and other parts of the body, because I think that's probably why it's all precautionary right now on that. Obviously, it's painful at some levels, but the effects of a calf muscle, calf, whatever that attaches to other parts and what the effects could be.
And for what it's worth, he got kicked in the calf and it tightened up and swelled up.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. No. So he got a calf contusion, which is a better way to go. Like he's going to be. I don't have any real concerns about it, just based on what's been said. So with a contusion like that, it's a bruise, right? You've got a calf bruise, right? And so he's going to be getting treatment on it all week long, and all you're really doing is trying to keep it from tightening up. So you're less likely to end up straining it down the road. But to your point, Bill, the second that you have something going on downstream, it changes your gait, it changes your stride, and so it becomes, well, one, concerning that you can re-injure the muscle that was already injured, but two, especially in a sport like soccer where you're trying to, where you're accelerating at top speed, it makes you more prone to end up straining a hamstring, right? And that would be a bigger disaster for this World Cup, because you pull a hamstring and your World Cup run is done, right? You're not playing in any more of the games, or at least not playing effectively. And so that's kind of the bigger upstream effect thing that I would worry about with it. But I'm not concerned. You get kicked in the calf, it's going to be sore and bruised for a while. You get treatment on it full time, like he's getting right now, and by the time the Australia games rolls around, it'll be like it never happened.
So not many concerns. That's why we have a doctor in here. I love that.
No, I'm not worried about it. If he was a hockey player, he'd have not gotten subbed out.
No, that's
the thing. That's the thing. Right? You'd have been like, "What? We're trying to put up 6, right? Like, why would I get subbed out?"
There it is. It's the Monday Medical with Dr. Dane Todd.
Yeah, that's right. But no, it was fun to watch the World Cup game. I mean, it's fun to just see America being able to compete, right? Because the last World Cup games that I watched, you are sitting there the entire time. To your point, like, when's it going to go wrong? When's it going to go wrong? Right? How can we keep up? Can we keep up? And in this one, it's just like
stress free. It was a celebration.
We're killing them, right? Like it's like watching Carolina, win that hockey game last night. It's like just watching dominance right now, which was fun. So especially when it's on our side.
And as you look around, I kind of talked about some of the other performances. I mean, look at a team like Netherlands yesterday against Japan. Netherlands is supposed to be the better team there. Japan gets the late equalizer, secures a draw. Like, it's kind of what I'm talking about as you look across. I mean, Brazil and Morocco as well ends in a draw. Like, whenever quality teams have played quality teams in this World Cup, you've had a lot of close games. The United States is the exception to the rule. Paraguay is solid. The United States on paper is better, but to go out there and dominate them like they did on that stage with the world watching, it means really, really good things for this team moving forward. And I am jazzed to see what kind of run that they can potentially go on in this World Cup. It is also the payoff. Bringing in Mauricio Pochettino, highest paid coach in U.S. men's national team history, highest paid employee in U.S. soccer history, and how they actually got him to the United States is incredible, where they had to go find private investment from venture capitalist firms and hedge fund managers and whatnot, where they had to go secure millions upon millions of dollars to bring him to the United States. And there were doubts early in his career. It didn't look great whenever he first showed up. The buy-in that he now has and the success that it's brought in a World Cup could be the huge payoff that you need.
Awesome. Great stuff, guys. Good, fast-moving first hour. Doc, appreciate you.
Nice seeing you guys.
Yeah, and you guys too. Hey, coming up, CBWS, Evan Bland, a whole lot more. Sit back, relax. We will be right back.
First Credit Union, you don't have to wait to drive the vehicle that you really want. With auto loan rates as low as 2.99%, you can be cruising in a sleek new SUV, sporty coupe, or the perfect family ride loaded with features. Take advantage of low monthly payment options, no prepayment penalties, and financing handled locally by people that you know and you trust. Liberty First Credit Union. Let's go save. Credit factors apply. Rates, terms, and conditions subject to change.
You got your very own handyman to help remodel your home.
Never had one before. Our last master bath we built did not have a tub in it, and the wife always wanted a tub to just soak, relax. She was using one of the combination tub shower units in one of the kids' bathrooms, not as big. She looked at one that she kind of liked the style of, and I think sat in a couple and found the one that fits. Our freestanding tub was a Flurico. You have to pick all the fixtures, what you want for the tub fixtures. She's got a hand wand. She's shaving her legs to wash legs. She likes it. We did figure out that the hand wands are great for washing down the showers. Soap and stuff that gets on the sides. It's nice to use the hand wand and just rinse everything off rather than trying to wipe it all down.
Beautiful soaking bathtubs are on sale in June. Save up to $100 when you shop our large selection of bathtubs. Under the Arch on Sun Valley Boulevard, Lincoln.
Handyman.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. Beware of telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you. Callers threatening you with arrest or other legal action and demanding money are not from us. If you receive a call like this, hang up. Do not provide them with any form of payment or information. Report the call at oig.ssa.gov.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for buying gas. That's right. You can earn cash back with Upside just for buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside, and just last year, I made nearly $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get cash back? If you like extra cash, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back when you fill your tank. Use promo code PROGRAM25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PROGRAM25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PROGRAM25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Hello, I'm Jose Hernandez, and I have been using a wheelchair since my accident in 1995.
My name is Andrea Delzal, and I've been using a wheelchair since I was 5 years old.
I guess if I had one message for the general public, it would be that I appreciate your help. But please, ask first.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that I've actually got everything under control.
I think people get nervous. They don't know how to act, so they pretend I'm not there.
What probably bothers me the most is when waiters talk to my companion and not directly to me.
I think everyone with a disability can relate to that parking spot problem.
We know you're just parking in that disabled spot for a second, but please, don't. We're just looking for the same respect and consideration as everyone else.
The United Spinal Association is dedicated to enhancing the quality of life of people living with spinal cord injuries and disorders. Download our disability etiquette booklet at unitedspinal.org.
Lincoln's local news, talk, sports, and weather station. FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR, and KFRX HD3. Lincoln.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. President Trump has arrived in the French Alps for the G7 summit that will take place this week. The trip coming as the U.S. and Iran announced an initial peace agreement that would extend the ceasefire and lead to the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. On Good Morning America, Vice President J.D. Vance saying sanctions against Iran will be lifted if the country carries through on promises to dismantle its nuclear program.
If they continue to try to rebuild their nuclear program, this deal ensures they will never have the resources in order to do that. On the other hand, if the Iranians are willing to give a long-term commitment, along with proper verification to giving up that nuclear weapon, we're willing to welcome them into the world economy, to lift some sanctions, and to turn over a new leaf in that relationship.
He calls it a big day for the American people and says the deal has already been signed digitally. Gas prices dipping, says ABC's Elizabeth Schulze.
The national average for a gallon of regular gas now $3.99, according to Gas Buddy. This is the first time it's been below $4 since April. And in about half of all states, mostly in the South and Midwest, gas is already below that $4 marker.
The FAA and the NTSB are investigating that plane crash south of Kansas City that left 12 people dead. ABC's Matt Rivers is in Butler, Missouri.
The Pacific Aerospace P-750 plane holding 11 passengers, all preparing to skydive. Shortly after takeoff, a city official says it appears the pilot may have been trying to make an emergency landing on a flat roadway nearby, but the plane stalled and crashed. The company operating the flight, Skydive Kansas City, saying in a statement, "Our deepest sympathies are with the families, friends, and loved ones of all who were lost."
Fox is buying the streaming platform Roku in a cash and stock deal valued at $22 billion. The deal gives Fox access to the Roku channel, first-party data, and more than 100 million streaming households. This is ABC News.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for buying gas. That's right. You can earn cash back with Upside just for buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I used Upside, and just last year, I made nearly $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get cash back? If you like extra cash, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back when you fill your tank. Use promo code PROGRAM25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PROGRAM25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PROGRAM25 for a 25 cents per gallon.
3 people in custody following an overnight pursuit. Good morning, I'm Jeff Moats. Right now we're at 70 degrees at KFOR. A fight started and gunshots were fired in the area of Portia Street and Knox Street in northwest Lincoln. That later led to a pursuit that ended not far from the KFOR studios. According to Lincoln police, this happened shortly after 11:30 Sunday night, where police responded initially to the disturbance. And when they saw an SUV leave the scene, they tried to pull it over, but it led to a pursuit. The SUV became disabled through all the road work happening west of 48th and Cornhusker that caused some damage. 3 people were seen fleeing the area and were later caught between 44th and 48th Street, south of Cornhusker and south of the railroad tracks. A 23-year-old woman, 19-year-old man, and 20-year-old man were taken into custody. Police say nobody was hurt by the gunfire. There were some shots fired from the initial incident. A 48-year-old Lincoln man is in jail, is expected to be arraigned later on today after he allegedly assaulted another man Saturday morning at a home near 27th and J Street. According to LPD, officers talked to a 35-year-old man who reported that he was assaulted by a man with a baseball bat in his head and legs that caused minor injuries. The victim also reported the man threatened him with a handgun. LPD says officers contacted Kenneth Bordeaux. They arrested him for assault, but officers served a search warrant at a home in the 700 block of South 27th Street. Bordeaux was then arrested for second-degree assault, use of a weapon to commit a felony, and possession of a controlled substance. As a friendly reminder, Lincoln police say there is help available when speeding in a neighborhood becomes a problem. There's access to a speed trailer where residents can request them if speeding does become a concern.
The devices collect data to determine how many speeders, what time of day, and how fast they're going.
LPD Public Information Manager Erica Thomas says that information helps officers identify problem areas and determine when enforcement efforts will be most effective. The department can better deploy officers to conduct targeted traffic enforcement in locations and at times where speeding is most prevalent through data analysis. Lincoln's first forecast, sunshine today and a high of 82. I'm Jeff Moats, KFOR News.
One simple act of kindness can make a big difference. Join Connoisseur Media to support the People's City Mission on Friday, June 19th, starting at 10 a.m. during the all-day Gimme Shelter event at Hy-Vee 84th and Holdridge. Come on out and hang with Pastor Tom. Take a selfie, drop off a water donation, and collect a special edition T-shirt courtesy of Artifact Screen Printing and Embroidery while supplies last. There's more info on the Gimme Shelter event and other ways you can help at pcmlincoln.org.
Hey everyone, let's all stop what we're doing and take a moment. You see?
Every moment can be kind of special. But they can be loud moments, goofy moments, dorky moments. It doesn't matter. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
This is the Morning Hookup on KFOR.
Coming out of my cage and I've been doing just fine. Gotta.
Welcome back in the Morning Hookup, hour number 2. Special thanks here to the doc, Dr. Dane Todd, for hanging out with us like he does every Monday. Every Monday, folks. Thank you guys also for hanging out with us on what looks like to be a beautiful Monday, beautiful week of weather ahead of us. And thank you. Weather has provided the College World Series with everything we've needed with getting games and slight delays out there. But boy, what a week so far. A few days it's been for the College World Series. As we talked a little bit earlier about what it looks like from the CWS right now. You kind of feel like you see that collision course coming with ACC, SEC coming. Carolina 2-0 after last night's performance of knocking off West Virginia. Georgia's opening round, their opening round game with a phenomenal pitching performance from their guy with 15 strikeouts in a complete game. Ole Miss, boy, Troy sends an SEC team home yesterday afternoon. We got matchups today. The SEC goes back at it today for the right to move on. Big win for Carolina last night as you look at from the bracket perspective. Now they get 2 days off. They'll await the winner of the Troy and West Virginia for Wednesday.
Yeah, and we kind of mentioned briefly last hour, North Carolina and Georgia seem to be ahead of the rest of the field. That's where it feels to be right now. Now in the College World Series, one game, one inning can change everything. So we'll see. But those two teams, I mean, I feel like they seem to be on a collision course. We'll see how this afternoon goes out at the ballpark, I guess more accurately this evening. But to dive into yesterday, how about Troy? Troy, we talked a lot about the depth and quality of arms that Ole Miss had for them to be coming into this tournament as a 2 seed. It's like, okay, in the regional, a 2 seed. They made Ole Miss's arms yesterday look average. And hey, that's kind of the thing with the College World Series is a couple of innings or just one off day can knock you from the tournament. I think that's partly what happened to Ole Miss yesterday, but you got to tip your cap to Troy. They've been putting up runs all tournament long, not just College World Series, all NCAA tournament long. They put some runs up on West Virginia, and they exploded yesterday on Ole Miss. That is a dangerous lineup. I don't think I see them coming through the losers bracket, but you never know. We'll see. They are a fun and exciting team to follow, and it's really fun when it's a mid-major that's that fun and exciting.
Yeah, they've got one guy, I think he's got 21 RBIs in 9 games in the postseason for Troy. They're just a team that man, they just leave it all out there. They go after it when you look at them. I think so far, and we talked about those two teams, those Carolinas and Georgias right now. On the Carolina side, I talked about this before. Carolina's probably got in the tournament the most pitching depth with arms, and the lack of arms they've had to use so far is going to pay off for a team like Carolina. Doesn't have all the power hitting. They do pressure you a lot, whether it be on the base paths or clutch hitting, staying in games. With that coordinator, I agree with you. Sweet justice that Ole Miss got called for a balk by using the pitcher communication stall tactic. Totally agree with you on that because they did get called for a timely balk and not making a pitch. But today you get the SEC losers bracket game at 1 o'clock, and the winners will go, I believe, at 6 o'clock tonight. As I believe it's Alabama, Texas gets you started at 1 o'clock today, followed by that electric Georgia lineup against Oklahoma. By the way, they're a great story so far, the way they've been hitting the baseball throughout the postseason. It'd be interesting today because if Georgia can get through that game, you're going to look at two teams out there that I believe Carolina's only used 3 arms so far. Georgia in one game only used 1 arm so far. That will be the tell the tape of the losers bracket side. What arms are left for Troy? What arms talent is going to be left for West Virginia to make their way through it? And then on the flip side as well, the Alabama-Texas matchup today.
How about that performance from the Georgia pitcher?
Woo!
What did he?
Not 9 innings. Was it 13?
Yep.
I think it's
15.
15. Yeah. He
15.
just had everybody in between on everything. Hitters had no idea what was coming.
And in a game like that, how satisfying is it to end the game on a punch out too? Come on now.
Well, I got to tell you, I've been up there twice now, and I've watched Carolina play twice. And I saw Ole Miss in game 1 against Carolina. I saw the game 2 last night. You're talking about, and this will be a question when we talk to Evan coming up about, because he's been up there as well, arm talent. Where we rank against arm talent in the Big Ten against an ACC and SEC. I saw 2 guys in game 1 for Carolina and Ole Miss, both throwing 96 and 98 with devastating breaking stuff. Carolina's got a sensational freshman of the year on the bump, who is supposed to be in high school still, 17 years old. He closed it out last night, just 98 mile an hour smoke. And it's been amazing with arm talent, arm depth. Well, you see West Virginia's guy last night, their lefty was sensational. And their defense, unfortunately, let West Virginia down, and Carolina became opportunistic when their defense let them down with 2 errors in that big inning for Carolina. But their lefty was 94, 95, devastating breaking pitch. These teams, I would say at least 7 of the 8 teams, not dogging Troy, but you look at those conferences, there's arm talent for days, everybody throwing 95 plus, and can get you late into games. All of these pitching buys so far, they've gotten you 4, 5, 6 quality innings to get you to the bullpen.
We do have Ernesto on the line. He's got some thoughts about the College World Series.
Ernesto, good morning, brother.
Good morning, guys. How about Troy, man? I love them. I think they win it all. I just got a weird feeling. And also, my best friend, he knows the head coach. He's friends with the head coach, and he's been talking about him all throughout. The workups, the regionals, and everything. And I'm just really happy for a team like that to come through and be at the CWS.
Definitely, it's Omaha is a very special place, and Troy's a fun team to watch. They've got that. You know what? They're playing that got nothing to lose type baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got nothing to lose either. Me and my girl, she's talking about coming to Jacksonville, living here now. I don't know what's going on. Indy, Jacksonville.
You miss out on beautiful Indianapolis.
I said, baby, we might have to flip a coin. You never know.
I don't think, are there any Wawas up in Indianapolis? It's going to be a factor here.
She claims that there is. I didn't look. And as a matter of fact, I had a meatball sub yesterday, and I swear I saw the ghost of old Scotty Frost.
You threw it right to him.
Yeah,
well done.
I gave him the softball, the underhand toss.
I was just going to say, if he's flipping a coin, that should be a double-sided coin that both say Jacksonville on it. I don't think there's a lot of special places about, hey, guys, guess what? I just landed it. We're moving to Indianapolis. But again, going back to the CWS, you look at what's happening in the brackets. We talked about Carolina, Georgia. Game 2 of these series are big. When you look at getting the rest, as I mentioned, Carolina gets it done last night. They go and get 2 days off. They'll play Wednesday. They'll wait on the winner of Troy, West Virginia on Wednesday. They'll play tomorrow. Georgia, big one today. They'll get that 2 days of depth of break if they get a win. Whoever wins today gets that 2 days of break, and those teams are then only 1 game away from the championship series.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the biggest thing in getting game 2.
Hey, how do you guys feel with this Georgia-Oklahoma matchup tonight? Both teams can score some runs.
That's what
Oklahoma's been super hot ever since the Kansas Super Regional. Because was it 10 plus runs in both games and then 9 in their opening game of the College World Series? We could be into some fireworks tonight because we know that Georgia lineup has some serious pop.
The Georgia lineup has some serious pop, and then Oklahoma knows how to manufacture runs. They still have the pop in their lineup, but Oklahoma is going to annoy you the entire game. They're going to steal bags, and they're going to push extra bases. So they're going to have guys in scoring position. It's about if they can come through. Georgia looks like they're throwing Caden Aoki which 9-1 on the year, 4.04 ERA. He could shut them down, but I don't know. Oklahoma's coming into the College World Series. Their offense has been so hot. I agree, Elijah. I think this one's going to be fun to watch.
It's been an electric matchup as well. But man, yeah, Corn Raider, we talked about the closeout freshman. It's 97 with ease has been pretty phenomenal to watch. I saw the stat being a Carolina fan. Actually, my son told me this when he came in the game at 11-0. But I believe now after last night, they are 28-0 in games that he has came in and pitched in.
Did his fastball? It had some run on it too.
It had a ton of run last night. The punch out last night had that run in on the hitter. That was to me. It's amazing that you can throw it with ease at 97, 98 and have that much run on a fastball.
If you're a hitter, I got 2 words. Good luck.
Yeah, and there was no doubt last night. West Virginia came in and got a couple runners on with 1 out, and it was like he was down there. Forbes walked out and just did this, and you knew what you were getting. Here it comes 97, 98, and I'm coming right at you. And correct. He is 17 as well. Great question, but he's 17. So more to come. College World Series just keeps providing everything that you've wanted out there so far. So hope you get a chance. Get up there if you get it today at 1 o'clock, 6 o'clock. I know the weekday game, they've had great attendance, by the way, too. I think both games I was at was nipping right at 25,000 for both those sessions. And I can tell you from being there last night, West Virginia fans have come to Omaha. They were sprinkled. There were more of them than there were Carolina fans last night. They were loud, and they're tearing the Jello shots up right now. Nobody's catching them. I believe they're approaching upwards of 20,000 now in Jello shots.
Well, especially because they're going to be there for a while. Ole Miss fans are probably headed home. How many more shots are they going to buy? Probably very few.
Unless they bought cases on the way out of that. West Virginia fans also, probably as noted, not scared of tarps off right in the middle of the entire place. They love tarps off as well. So, all right, let's take another break. We'll come back. We're going to keep talking some baseball. Hey, Nebraska's done some good stuff. They've added some additions. And then also we'll talk CBS with Evan Bland from Omaha World Herald. There's 1 billion West Virginia fans in Omaha.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. I saw some videos of them walking in the streets.
And they love to chat. Pre-game, boy, I had to hold my it was like hold my 12-year-old's ears. Because they're like, we come down, you're walking down that main drag and Roscoe's is on the corner.
Uh-huh.
They're all they've cornered that bar on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And just talking mad. Then after the game, I'm like, Tanner, here's the deal. You're going to hear stuff probably because they're back there sitting there and they've been sitting there all day.
You can listen to it, but you cannot repeat it.
Yeah. A lot of see you Wednesday comments.
Hey, nothing he's never heard before, right?
No, never.
That's what he hears from the pitching coach after he comes off the mound.
Yeah. I just think he's heard it, but the way it was some of it was even non-audible. You couldn't understand what they were saying.
It's tough to enunciate with only 2 teeth,
At some point it just became I don't know if they could talk. It was just double barrels. One guy was dead set. He was just a West Virginia fan. God bless. Whatever. He was fine. Just sat on the corner with double barrels like this. He just sat there.
Yep. At some point in the show, I know we got Evan coming up here, but we do need to ask Caleb about the Scottish invasion of Fenway last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see that? All the Scotland fans marching to the stadium for Scotland night?
They got to see another great loss by the Red Sox.
I thought you were going to talk about the invasion of runs the Rockies gave up last night.
I don't care about that.
Well, they put up 23 before that.
Let it be known, I didn't even know until you mentioned it. The Rockies played last night. I was umping baseball. I was watching UFC. I was trying to stay caught up with the Stanley Cup Finals, College World Series. The Rockies were the last thing on my mind.
Honestly, it's probably not even the story of that game. It's probably the reason I brought it up is the story of the number of 460-foot home runs that have been hit in Vegas. Coordinator said West Virginia 21,715 shots, Jello shots as of yesterday, 108,575. That's a lot of moonshine sales.
Good Lord. The Rockies had 24 base hits.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you could put it on the board. Yes. Yeah, the Rockies were they liked Vegas. Welcome back in the Morning Hookup. Happy Monday. Let's bring in our guy from Omaha World Herald, Evan Bland. Evan, happy Monday.
Happy Monday, guys.
Hey, let's jump in. Let's talk a little College World Series before we get in to talk Nebraska baseball. They've had some additions that we'll get into on their team as they look to hopefully get back to what's happening in Omaha this weekend. Hey, thoughts on Omaha right now? You've seen a few games out there. I brought this up, Evan, and I want to get your thoughts on this as you start looking at the conferences that are there, ACC, SEC, some Big 12. But when I'm up there, I've been up there a couple of times. I've seen Carolina play a couple of times. My takeaway from watching all these teams is what arm talent is at the College World Series right now, and maybe what the separation is from what you're seeing in Omaha, their arm talent, arm depth. I had a 17-year-old for Carolina last night that's been phenomenal, 97 with ease. Both pitchers have been in the 90s, mid-90s. But talk about the arm talent and depth that you've seen, and maybe is that a distinction of separation when you look at Big Ten baseball?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm always interested to go up and check out the College World Series, especially after watching Nebraska and Big Ten teams closely all year. And I think there are a couple separators. I mean, and the general theme is just power, I would say. More power bats, more power arms. And Nebraska has some of that, and Big Ten schools have some of that. I think the separator is just how many options the SEC in particular has, where you're seeing their fourth or fifth bullpen guy throwing mid-90s, or you're seeing their 8 and 9 hitters at double-digit home runs, or a guy who's like a former top prospect who can come in and hit the ball 400 feet, and it's not necessarily a shock. Like, I think that's maybe the difference is, like, in the Big Ten, you really need your dudes to be dudes, whereas in some of these games you're seeing, I think, maybe surprise contributors or guys who are maybe not the superstars that are coming through, and sometimes that's the difference in some of these games. I think the depth really helps you in the regional format, where you may have to play 4 or 5 games in a condensed period, a little bit less so in the supers because it's just your standard weekend. And then obviously at the College World Series, like, the importance of starting 1-0, 2-0 isn't just avoiding elimination, but then you get these days off, and you can make a College World Series run by using your starting rotation and maybe 2 or 3 of your top bullpen arms if you win enough games. So I think that's the other piece is if you're able to start strong enough, then you really don't have to rely on maybe those 4th or 5th or 6th bullpen arms as much.
Evan, you talked about just the power in this College World Series. Whenever everyone out of the bullpen seems to be throwing 96, 97, what are you looking at for the Husker arms next season? Are you looking for improvements at starting rotation? Are you looking for improvements out of the bullpen? What do you think would be a bigger factor?
Well, I think the thing that was the weakness for Nebraska most of the year, and the thing that we pointed to that would be their undoing in the regional, and it turned out to be, was how do you cover innings 6 through 8, right? How do you find some arms to get some outs reliably there ahead of your closer? I think most teams would say they have a closer that they're pretty comfortable with. I think most teams would have an ace or at least 2/3 of a weekend rotation. But it's like, what do you do when your starter's out at 100 pitches after 5 2/3, and you're not in closer range yet. Like, who do you turn to? And so the best teams have a bunch of guys who are competing for those jobs. Nebraska had a couple, and they were kind of up and down at different points this year. So I think that's probably where I would start, is who's going to cover those innings. The rotation will come together, however it looks. Even if Ty Horn and Carson Yassa go pro, like you can envision a scenario where Gavin Blackwoods gets better, or they bring in Ashton Nance out of the junior college level and he does well, or you bring in Jayshon Unger, move him from closer to starter. Like, they'll figure out the rotation. But to me, it's again, how do you maybe build up that bullpen hierarchy where you have 3 or 4 guys? I think they feel like maybe they brought in some guys in that regard. But I think the other piece, and we just saw they got a transfer in Zach Bates, the former Illinois closer. They really needed left-handed arms, and there just wasn't a lot of those options last year. They were pretty poor from the left side, and so you bring in Bates, you bring in Cohen Nelson, who was an All-American at the junior college level. We'll see if he gets drafted. But like, you're going to need some threats from the other side, and I think that's probably another priority and another area they're looking to address.
Hey, Evan, you mentioned some of the portal pickups that Nebraska got, but they also got the brother of Cole Moore from Iowa, and they add in Reese Moore from South Carolina. What do you know about Reese, and what will he bring to the offense?
Yeah, I mean, Reese Moore, one of the most accomplished portal bats that Nebraska's brought in the transfer era, was an All Big Ten stick at Iowa in 2025, and then goes to South Carolina really just for the opportunity. He looked at Nebraska at that time, so he goes to South Carolina, gets hurt, has a knee injury, and he was sitting in the middle of the lineup, catching, DHing. Like, that was a big loss for them. And they end up firing their coach a few weeks later, and the season kind of unraveled. But, he's someone who's a veteran, who's proven, who obviously, like you said, his brother Cole is now on the team. So you might see a more to more battery, which could be kind of fun, like we saw with a Worthley to Worthley, catcher or pitcher catcher combo last season. So I think that's part of it. And then, but maybe the more interesting piece then is, okay, if he catches, what does that mean for a guy like Jeter Worthley, who could potentially move to a corner outfield spot, a little bit more versatile athletically? If Reese Moore's knee isn't ready to go, then he could DH, he could play first base, he could do some different things there. So I think it's an interesting add. Like, when you talk about building a lineup, you want guys that can be interchangeable in some different places. And I think Moore's combination of a proven track record and somebody who you can plug in different spots is super valuable for what Nebraska wants to do as it reloads next year.
Again, we're speaking to Evan Blam of My Word Herald. Evan, talk about the JUCO ranks. You put out a post today. We got 4 JUCOs that were named All-Americans in their respected first team, second team, third team, and it looks like we have a collection of real good JUCO names. When you're trying to pronounce, they sound like real baseball names. Talk about that group that's incoming from the JUCO ranks, with having some, some mileage on them a little bit, and what that means coming from Nebraska, and which one of those can make the most immediate impact.
Yeah, it's a strong group, and Nebraska has built itself around the junior college talent under Will Bold in the Will Bold era, and so this is, I think, has the potential to be the strongest group yet. I mean, you have a guy like Logan Groh who comes in. Was an All-American infielder, and obviously Nebraska is going to need a new starting third baseman, shortstop, second baseman, maybe first base if Case Sanderson decides to go pro. So he comes in as an immediate factor. Crew Huenfeld is another guy who had prodigious power at the junior college level this past spring, corner outfielder, possible first baseman type. That's an interesting one to watch. I mentioned Cohen Nelson on the mound. He was a kind of an interesting case. Like, he was a starter, but he kind of served more as an opener. Like, if you look at just the number of innings he threw, super effective, but kind of in briefer stints. So I wonder if he would be an option at the back end of the bullpen. That's an interesting one. Brenner Waialoma from Iowa Western was their closer, had a great season as well. That's someone else you kind of look at and say, hey, could he be in the starting mix? Is he someone that they see coming on in relief? That'll start to come together. in the fall. And then I think the other one I'd mentioned would be Dylan Myro, who is the son of a major league player in Scott Myro from about 20 years ago. And he's been fielding, he's been a shortstop, fielding at about a Dylan Carey level clip, which is high praise and a little bit more speed, less power than what Carey displayed this year. But that's somebody else that I think you can point to and say he's absolutely going to be in the mix to make a difference on that infield right away next spring.
Evan Bland with us here from the Omaha World Herald. And Evan, to look here at the College World Series specifically and bring it back to that, I had mentioned that it feels like we're on a collision course with North Carolina and Georgia. We'll see how tonight goes, but those two teams seem to be the top of the field. Do you have anything to add to that? Anything you'd like to disagree with? Those two teams I think would make styles make fights for a great championship series. We'll see if we get it, but that's kind of where it feels like we're on the course to, at least in my opinion.
I agree. That's where we are right now. This is how much I know. I thought I picked Ole Miss as my national champion. They're the first one out. So
did our friend Justice.
But, yeah. So, it's baseball, right? But no, I thought the game last night, North Carolina wins on the strength of a couple West Virginia errors. And I mean, you talk about just how slim the margins are. I mean, North Carolina was a ninth inning rally against USC away from not even getting to Omaha. And now they're 2-0 and in the driver's seat to make the final and have a chance to win their first ever national title. So, what a comeback for the Heels at this point. But I mean, today's it's the all SEC Invitational today, and you just can't count Texas out. I don't think they were, arguably the second or third best team, maybe the first in this field, depending on how you look at it. And obviously, you draw Georgia to start, so I'll be watching the Horns and see if they can maybe make a run through the back end of the bracket. But, Georgia, I think they had like 20 home runs more than the second most team in Division I, which is kind of ludicrous. And so, their hitting was on display in the opener. I'll be curious to see how their style of offense translates to Omaha the longer that they're there, just because it is a much more spacious park than what they play in Athens, especially if the wind's blowing in. Sometimes you have to score in ways other than with the long ball. And so if it were to be a North Carolina-Georgia final, really interesting clash in styles where you have, the ultimate slugging Bulldogs against a North Carolina team that is a lot more versatile, maybe not as much with the long ball, but hit and runs, stolen bases, patient plate approach, these kind of things. So that potential clash in styles for the final, I think, would be, a pretty compelling matchup for a College World Series title.
Evan, the CWS has delivered so far. I want to ask you what your favorite moment has been so far. You've had the Georgia pitcher go 9 innings, 15 strikeouts. You've had the Troy comeback, or you got the West Virginia fans taking over Rocco's. What has been your favorite moment of the CWS so far?
I think the thing the moments that always resonate with me are the teams and the fans that are experiencing it for the first time. So I think, the country roads singing from West Virginia players and their fans, and even I think some casual College World Series fans got caught up in the moment singing that, when they won the opener. That was a pretty cool deal. And you think about it, not a lot of teams have songs or things where they interact with fans after a game. And so for them to get that opportunity, for the Schwab Field game management folks to actually play that song, that was a pretty cool deal. And I would say, kind of the same thing with Troy yesterday. I don't know that a lot of people gave Troy a chance to knock out Ole Miss after Troy lost that opener. And it was not luck. They looked the part. They were slugging. They were, generating runs. Their arms out of the bullpen were solid and effective at times. So really cool deal to see a team out of the Sun Belt from a town in Troy, Alabama, with a population smaller than the attendance at the game yesterday. That kind of thing is pretty cool. So, ultimately we'll remember whoever wins the title, but I think just as much these are moments about breakthroughs for programs, and West Virginia and Troy, no matter how the rest of this week plays out, they've already had those now.
Evan, also this time of the year makes you think about maybe watching the movie Summer Catch, as the summer assignments were given out for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And give us thoughts when you look at this list. Obviously, A lot of people are going to go Cape Cod League. That's the league. And you got Unger headed that way. But as you look at the list, also maybe not a lot of the household names that Nebraska fans are maybe like, oh, that kid, or they're not playing. But thoughts on how it would distribute it out and Unger going to the Cape Cod League?
Yeah, I don't think Freddie Prinze Jr. is going to be pitching this year down there with Jay Sean. But I mean, what I always like to say is like not every summer ball assignment is created equal. So a guy like Unger proved himself at the collegiate level this spring, and so now he needs to see, a higher, more consistently elite bats on the other side. And so he's going to go to the Cape Cod League and test himself against some high-end competition. You see a lot of other players on Nebraska's roster heading to places like the Northwoods League or the West Coast League or the Jayhawk League or even Alaska. Mm-hmm. And typically, like those assignments are more built on volume. They're still quality leagues, but like the idea when guys go out there tends to be get a bunch of innings, get a bunch of plate appearances, try some different positions in the field, and then that will inform what your role might be on your collegiate team into the fall ball and into next spring. So, I think that you always see a guy or two pop every year that maybe you don't expect that does carry over into next year. Unger was an example of that last year when he went to, I believe it was the West Coast League, and found success and came back, and that carried over. You've seen that shot with Bryce Matthews a few years ago and some other guys. So I think that's one thing you look at. And then I think the other thing that I'll pay attention to is guys that have role changes. So, a guy like Drew Grigo, who was a corner outfielder this year, what does that look like for him as he transitions into the infield? Is he dabbling at second? Is he dabbling at shortstop? Where does he line up? So I think there are always clues and different things that you can take away from how guys do in the summer. I think that probably the total number of Huskers that are out this year is probably down a little bit, and that's probably a reflection of how it was an older team, how they played later into the season, and so you don't have as many pitchers that'll go out just because of the workload that they had. So it's probably a smaller number overall, but it is a group where you look at Nebraska next year, they have a lot of holes to fill, roles to fill, and how these guys do in the summer gives coaches something to think about as they start tweaking and assembling their roster in the fall.
Evan Bland with us here from the Omaha World Herald on the Morning Hookup. And Evan, as we kind of wind things down here before we get you out, we did lose a great one over the weekend with Coach George Darlington. The press box will never be the same without Coach George sitting down the way. But everything from his contributions on the field to the football 101 class, he was a lifetime legend in the sport of football, and he passed away at the age of 87 this weekend. Want to get your thoughts on the man and his career?
Yeah, I mean, synonymous with Nebraska football for so long. I mean, an assistant for decades during the best run in program history. And even though I believe his last season was 2002, like he was still a fixture around the program. He'd come to practices even last year. Like he was at practices and always not just willing, but like excited to talk football and to break down film and to talk with media, talk with coaches, talk with players about what he sees. Someone who was a true teacher at heart. You mentioned the football 101 thing, but like he just had a way of imparting or sharing information and knowledge that made others better. Like it wasn't in a way that said, "Hey, this is how much I know." It was in a way that was like, "Here, let me open your eyes to this thing, or help you, with that technique or whatever it might be." So, so you don't usually see assistants, like career assistants, become as iconic as George Darlington. I think it's a testament just to his character, his personality, the fact that he loved Nebraska football decades past his official involvement and association with the university. And no doubt his personality and presence will be missed around the program.
Awesome stuff, Evan, man. Hey, always we appreciate your time on a Monday. Oh, Elijah's got one more.
Yeah, before we get you out, Evan, I do want to ask you, and did you have one as well, Caleb? No, just me. Okay. We've been talking for the past week or so with World Cup. People have been following this German guy, Freddie, his travels through the American South. If you were to take one international soccer fan on, let's say, an afternoon trip in Nebraska, you got to take him somewhere, where are you taking that European? What are you showing off from the great state?
That's a good one. Well, I'm trying to think what would elicit like maybe the most confusion or the most enlightenment. I don't know. I think I'd probably find I'd go to Chimney Rock maybe. Let's take him out to Chimney Rock because like I'd be curious what a European's reaction to that would be. Would it be, hey, this is pretty neat? Would it be like, what is this? It's a rock with a point on it. Would they appreciate maybe the historical significance of it with the Oregon Trail? I think that's probably the way I go because you can get restaurants and a lot of the urban stuff in a lot of places, but some of the things unique to the state, maybe just the wide open fields, you don't see that in Europe. It's a lot more condensed. So yeah, give me Chimney Rock and, let them post that on social media and I want to see their reaction to that.
That's a great one. Look, kids, there's Big Ben. Let's keep riding around it. Good stuff. Hey, Evan, man, we appreciate your time as always, my friend. Take care of yourself. Have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate you guys. See ya. Bye.
Evan Blam, the Whole Mile World Herald. Always great stuff hanging out with him on a Monday. Let's take our final break. We'll come back with stories that we missed. Yeah, I'd say the coolest thing I saw maybe at the CWS so far, and I should have talked about, we went up for obviously West Virginia, Troy opened up the series in that game. So we got up there to go see Carolina play that night. No lie. Guzman, who stole home in that game, I'm not lying to you. We walk up the main drag. A lot of the West Virginia people are out there, waiting for their team to come out. And they have state troopers, cops, armed guards everywhere, right? They got their truck in the middle. He is sitting on the back of the truck with two of the cops who have their guns, and he's just hanging out there. He's got his cleats still on, his feet are hanging. They're like, there's a couple on there. Let's drive, and they're taking pictures. Like it was like they were stars amongst the people at the World Series.
Yep. I also saw that where he's sitting there on the back of the truck signing autographs. What's crazy is he's still in full uniform.
Cleats.
That's the funny part.
Well, we looked over because I was with both my boys and my entire family. That we all went to game one. We looked over like, what is happening? Like, is that like, why? And then we're like, oh my gosh, that's West Virginia, right? Because you're not used to, I guess, no pro athlete ever does that. But they're at the World Series, and they're like right in front of Rocco's. And West Virginia people are just going nuts with this. And there's fans from all over the place that are over there that's the guy that stole home. By the way, that guy, Guzman, is built different. He is a rock.
Yep.
My goodness. And he plays all over the field. I did not realize that. I guess game one, he was in the outfield. Against Carolina, he played first base. And he leads off, and he's a machine.
There's just so much talent and like future professional talent in this College World Series. It feels like every team's got a guy that's going to be going in the top 3 rounds.
Yeah, and maybe that's what I was maybe alluding to like that. But those teams, they look different. They just, like when you look at you take a picture of it, you go, oh, wow, that's different. And like Evan said, they're rolling out dudes that are like their fourth relievers going 95.
We got about 10 minutes.
Perfect.
Minutes. So we can get into something before we do stories that we missed.
Well, how about UFC Freedom 250?
Oh, yeah.
It's on my sheet. Because we're going to say we have to talk U.S. Open later the week.
The Morning Hookup.
Welcome back in the morning hookup again. Special thanks here to Evan Blam, the Omaha World Herald, talking CWS Husker baseball with us. I was just talking in the stream. We're talking about depth at the College World Series and things like that. It might just be eyes. When you're looking at these teams, they look different. And it's hard not to, as a Husker fan, going up there and comparing the two. You look at ACC, SEC, you look at the talent, and you go, what's the disconnect? How far does Nebraska have to get to? Or what's the gap for us to be back in Omaha, right? When you look at that, that's one of the glaring things for me. And again, it's easy to look at ACC, SEC teams because they're they're deep and talented in this whole landscape of college baseball. We'll get to stories that we missed, but boys, how about maybe the event not as talked about, but took center stage last night, UFC Freedom 250. And throw all your stuff out. Throw it all out. I didn't watch it. I saw all the highlights and things like that. What a massive production that was. Was there not a better flyover? Can we get that flyover at every college, every game we go to? Amazing. Everything that went into what happened was top notch. What a magnificent night for the UFC last night.
Yeah, there's been a lot of reaction. I will say, generally speaking here, sit back and enjoy. People are talking about, and I think we all know if you've listened to KFOR for long enough, I am pretty politically neutral down the middle. And I have a fair number of issues with both sides. And I see people, well, this is so below the White House. If you look up history, look up Andrew Jackson's presidency and how he handled the White House. Every president has kind of handled it differently. You know what? I thought the event was cool. It's the best way to put it. It was such a production, such a show, as you said, Hooksy. But the main thing is the fights, and those fights lived up to it last night.
Oh yeah.
Every single fight on the card was ended with a knockout or a TKO. You have the huge upset with Justin Gaethje over Ilya Topuria at the end, and he just beat him to a bloody pulp.
And
we're talking broken nose, probably 2 broken orbitals, broken ribs. That guy, who was one of the hottest names in the UFC, one of the best fighters, he had just smoked everyone he had faced. Justin Gaethje walked him down, beat him up, and made him quit.
And then you had the controversy with, was it round 4, the doctor coming out and saying, no, we can't, like he can't. And then he was like, no, like I'm fighting, like let me go. And then he ended up quitting after that. Like that was a really fun fight.
I think the nail in the coffin is right at the end of that 4th round. Justin Gaethje knees him in the ribs. Well, there was the punch to the face that for sure did some damage to an orbital bone, and then there was the knee to the ribs late that, hey, I know ribs are kind of flexible in the body, and we could have talked with Dane Todd about this, but I am pretty sure his reaction and the way he walked back to his corner, I am pretty sure he broke at least a couple ribs in that, and that was the final nail in the coffin that made his corner go, listen, this is potentially career-altering, if not life-altering damage if we let this go on. So Justin Gaethje gets the belt. Credit to him. I'm not sure how much more Justin Gaethje we have left, but he was fired up last night, rightfully so. What a performance we got to see. But it wasn't just him. We had Shigashan O'Malley get a huge knockout. Yeah, he's smooth, man. He's smooth. You had Bo Nickel, another outstanding performance from the former Penn State wrestler. Top to bottom, aside from Derek Lewis and a uninspiring performance, everything else last night was just awesome.
Yeah, I think Lewis and Chandler, both those guys are past their prime, and it's time to probably hang it up. You could see they were just completely gassed and didn't have anything left in the tank, but don't want to take anything away from Hokut and Ruffy too. They both looked amazing in their fights. Yeah, the full card really delivered. The Pereira fight, I know a lot of people really liked Pereira against Gane, and Gane looked really good. The whole entire card lived up to the fight, and then you finish it off with an amazing main event.
It was amazing. Fun fact, I don't know the timeline or how many years ago it was, Justin Gaethje sat right across from you, Elijah. We had Justin Gaethje on that was at the time a different show name, but he sat there, and that was the hold your dump button straight down, and you missed the entire interview probably because we were a little worried. But he is what a rise for him is now. Correct me if I'm wrong, the first time he's unified his own title, correct?
Yes. Oh, and it's also the first time that somebody has won the belt in that lightweight division since, I believe, Eddie Alvarez, which is over 10 years ago now, because you've had guys get vacated because they go off to boxing, Conor McGregor. You have guys that miss weight and are stripped of theirs. They have guys that retired. It's been the first time in over 10 years that somebody has won that belt by actually going and winning a fight. And I'm so happy it's Justin Gaethje. The man has never had a boring fight. Never in his life. Every single fight he fights in is absolutely electric.
Just a warrior.
Yes. Yeah. He cares more about giving the fans a show than he does about winning. And he cares a lot about winning, but he is not going to fight a boring fight. He's going to step up for the fans. And it's funny because when he sits in studio, he's almost a little bit unassuming. Like, he had the glasses on that kind of made him look a little nerdy. Like, you don't think of him as being like this. I mean, until you see the cauliflower ears and you go, okay, this guy's been through some stuff, but he's pretty unassuming and a pretty nice guy out of the ring, but you get him in the ring and the dude just pure violence.
What an amazing event it was out there. Speaking of amazing stories and a golf story, we got the U.S. Open this week coming up, but RBC Canadian Open yesterday, won by Bud Colley. Bud Colley winless in his first 238 prior tournaments, 36 years old, out of golf for a while. Almost a tragic car crash the week of the Memorial back in 2018. Went under a ton of surgeries, complications, played his way back into the 2020 season, stepped away, by the way, from it as well, went back to the PGA Tour in 2024, goes out, gets his first career win, which, by the way, also as winning that, special moment to win, but also you now get to play at Shinnecock Hills this week. You are qualified to play at Shinnecock Hills.
Yeah, that's the more important side of this. It is U.S. Open week, fellas. I'm curious to see. We're going to start getting that footage out probably today and tomorrow of, hey, what are the rough conditions like at Shinnecock this week? You know, the U.S. Open, they're going to leave it long. Is it going to be long, or is it going to be absolute brutality? We'll find out probably in the next 24 hours or so what the conditions are looking like at Shinnecock. But that is a fantastic golf course out there, one of the oldest in the United States. The history of Shinnecock is spectacular. I'm really looking forward to another fantastic, hopefully, U.S. Open this weekend.
Yeah, as expected. Like, I agree. I have read and seen that they've started booking tee times for their practice rounds coming up. So like I said, you'll get coverage of that. There's one last year. It's been there before. We can all look back and how Phil Mickelson tried to make a mockery of the tournament back then when the greens were so fast. And now Phil Mickelson in a really weird world right now, as word to come out that maybe he's in under a little trouble, a little scrutiny as his golf status continues to fall upon the wayside.
Yeah, we'll see. One of the fun things with Shinnecock that I'm excited to see is like the two different nines kind of play differently, where the second nine is hillier. You have more blind tee shots. It's going to be kind of interesting to me to see, especially with U.S. Open conditions, which guys can go out there and perform on both different nines, because they kind of test you in two different ways, which speaks to the history of the course. Look at the history of the course. The back nine used to be there was the women's nine, and then there was the original nine, and it's gone through plenty of renovations. They built a highway through the original course. So it's not what it was originally, and what it's led to is kind of two different nines on that course that should make for fun scoring, where, hey, a guy on the weekend on a Saturday could have a fantastic front nine, but then the back nine, everything changes. So this should be a good one. And there's some interesting storylines with the guys hoping to get their first U.S. Open titles too.
Yep.
Hey, one thing about the World Cup that I thought has been cool. Obviously, the matches have been fun to watch, but just seeing community come together. All these different countries. You know, Elijah mentioned earlier the Swedish fans at the Red Sox game. You've seen, you know, the Algerian fans in Kansas. I don't know if you guys saw the Japanese fans after their game against the Netherlands, you know, picking up litter after the game. Just watching all types of life come together over a soccer game. It's been really cool to watch.
Very respectful individuals in that world when you look at that as well. Speaking of that, the drama, by the way, has continued right now in the Brendan Sorsby case, as the Big 12 has filed a legal complaint against Texas Tech seeking to confirm its authority to enforce its conference bylaws if the school plans to play the quarterback this year. Boy, that's going to get interesting, as now you've got a conference as a whole going after one of its members to assess their authority in enforcing their bylaws.
Well, this to me, to get your own authority to enforce your own bylaws, to me, and I'm not a legal expert, this to me feels more like some posturing from the Big 12 to say, hey, just so you know, you try to play this guy, we as the Big 12 will sanction you. Tread carefully. It's the first step towards like, hey, we don't want to do this. We just want to remind you that we can and we're planning on it. So tread very, very carefully, Tech.
Absolutely. Coming up tomorrow, Robin Washut, Brian Munson, more CWS, a little U.S. Open, and a whole lot of you guys. Have a great Monday. Thanks for hanging out with us. We will catch you on a Tuesday.